A new report from conservative news outlet Wisconsin Right Now reveals Governor Tony Evers used an alias email address to discuss public business. Evers used the name of former Milwaukee Braves pitcher Warren Spahn. A spokesperson for the governor says the use of alias email addresses is common, and the governor said they have no plans to change the practice.
The fact of the matter is that it was done by my predecessor, and frankly, it's done to kind of protect my work time, and it doesn't impact anybody, because when somebody says, I'd like to have, if they do an open records request on it, we send it out, and we put right on there, this name is blanked out, and the reason it's blanked out is protecting the governor's time. So people get the information they want when they ask for it, and it works.
Let's bring in Tom Kamenick now. He's the founder and president of the Wisconsin Transparency Project. Tom, thanks for taking some time to be here.
Glad to be here.
So the governor's office has said that this practice dates back to former Governor Walker at least. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel cites Walker's former chief legal counsel that he had a pseudonym, Kevin Scott, at wisconsin.gov. Are you familiar with this practice?
I haven't run into it before Governor Evers, but I don't doubt that previous administrations have used it as well. It seems a tactic designed to make things convenient and to have a lesser known channel of communication for only a small number of people to communicate with the governor or with any other government official.
The governor's office says that the alias email addresses are a matter of digital security for dignitaries in the state. Have they demonstrated that the use of an alternate email is necessary for communications outside of the official accounts?
I don't see why it raises security issues, although to be fair, I'm not a computer security expert. I think any email account could potentially be hacked or gotten into or compromised somehow. I think it is more a matter of convenience or efficiency for a governor to have a set-aside email account that probably doesn't get all the spam that the public-facing one does.
Well, with that in mind a little bit here, I want to delve into the question of the open records process. So I sent an email to Warren Spahn at wisconsin.gov. I got a bounce back. It's clearly not in use anymore. Open records responses from Evers' office routinely indicate that anything that identifies a non-public email address is redacted, but they do say they turn over those messages. But without that alias name, Tom, how would this impact public trust in the administration's open records process?
That's the crux of it, isn't it? The whole idea of government transparency is to know what your government officials, what your representatives are doing in their official capacities. And that includes the email messages that they're sending, email messages that they're receiving. When you have a government official who is using a what's a secret email address, that raises serious trust issues. You know, I will admit the governor has been forthcoming in the past that he's been using an email account with a different address on it. But if the public or journalists or anybody doesn't know what that address is, it's very hard to supervise it, to make sure that it's being used properly, that it's not being used in ways that violate the records law or other laws. It's kind of a problem of you don't know what it is you don't know.
Do you think the office should be redacting that email address name? I mean, if it ended up in a courtroom, would that practice hold up of redacting email address names of that nature?
There's no case law directly on point for that question, but I think when it comes down to it, I think courts would not permit this practice. And here's why. Courts have said repeatedly that the point of transparency laws is not efficiency or not convenience for government officials. Sure, it's better for the governor's office, probably, if they have this set-aside email address that they don't have to share. But that's just a matter of convenience for them. It doesn't benefit the public in any way to have that kind of information kept secret. And courts have said repeatedly, transparency laws aren't about convenience or efficiency. we could do away with open government if we wanted things to be more efficient, but that's a terrible idea. So that's the trade-off of having accountability and transparency. It makes things more difficult. It makes things less efficient to have government work done publicly, but we've decided that that trade-off is worth it, and that accountability to the public, to the to the voting citizens of the state is more important than efficiency alone.
Now that this information about the governor's alternate email address is more out there in the public, obviously we don't have a name, but do you think that the fact that now the public is more savvy to the fact that it exists could be beneficial moving forward with open records requests, or knowing kind of what things that people need to be on the lookout for with their government's actions?
I think the all the reporting has done a great job of making people aware that this is happening here in Wisconsin at the governor's office, which raises the possibility that maybe other officials are doing it too. Hopefully, people can use that information to be a little more observant, and maybe when they make record requests, to not necessarily specify I want emails to and from this particular email address, but to say in their requests from any email account that you use for government business. That's a better way to make sure that you're including the full range of communication tools that a government official might be using.
Well, Tom, as the president of the Wisconsin Transparency Project, we really appreciate your expertise this morning.
Been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on.